So welcome back, dear audience, wherever you are, in the home office, nel vostro salotto, non importa. We start the second part with a musical prelude, Goccia, Goccia, a tiny drop of water falls in the desert. And it has the power to bring the desert to life. When I'm playing this song, I have the image of a moving train in my mind, a train rushing through the desert, kicking up dust. And it starts to rain. I sit in this train and it becomes clear to me, Marco, you won't get your destination faster if you run through the train. Si apre un cielo di ricordi, questa sera io e te siamo solo di passaggio, ma la vita cos'è? E soltanto sarò una stella in cielo che splende forte sul deserto. E soltanto sarò una nuvola che poi sparisce via col vento. Di ricordi, questa sera io e te siamo solo di passaggio, ma la vita, lei c'è. E soltanto sarai una stella in cielo che splende forte sul deserto. E soltanto sarò una goccia d'acqua che poi sparisce, poi svanisce. E soltanto sarai una stella in cielo che splende forte sul deserto. E soltanto sarò una nuvola che poi sparisce, poi svanisce. E soltanto sarai una stella in cielo che splende forte sul deserto. E soltanto sarò una goccia d'acqua che cade e bagna il mio deserto. Si apre un cielo di ricordi, questa sera io e te.
What a wonderful song.
Ciao Cristina.
Ciao.
Rieccomi.
It's inspiring.
Inspiring?
Singing about a water drop, this makes me kind of creative. So when I think about a water drop, I think about more water, I think about the sea, I think about the Atlantic Ocean, and in the Atlantic Ocean there's Portugal. And one colleague of us, which I would like to introduce to you now, is a colleague who has a name that sounds like holidays, Nuno Madeira. So Nuno has been working for us for several years now, and ever since he came to the Joint Secretariat, first to Bavaria, now to Salzburg, he's become a hiking enthusiast. And every summer he's trying to climb new peaks and new mountains. And yeah, I think we should talk about a low carbon, carbon neutral and resource sensitive Alpine area now. And Nuno, I would like to hand over to you to guide us through the next session. Screen is yours.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much for the introduction you made. Indeed, I come from Portugal, but I, in a way or another, fell in love with the Alps and the nature it has to offer to everyone, or to those that live and work in this part of Europe. In this second series of interviews to project representatives, we will focus again on project achievements, but in this case for projects under priority 2. For this purpose, I have the presence of 2 project representatives, Etienne Vienot, who's a project manager at Aura des Eaux, the regional agency for energy and environment in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes in France. Etienne has plenty of experience in managing European projects. He in the field of climate change adaptation, green construction. He's also the co-leader of USALP Action Group 9 on energy, whose action plan triggered the ALPGRIDS project, which is currently being implemented with the support of Alpine Space program. And the purpose of this project is exactly to increase the uptake of regional renewable energy in the Alps through microgrid solutions. I also have the pleasure to have here with us Aleš Pevc from the Ljubljana, from the Technological Park in Ljubljana. Aleš is the head of the technology office. He has also many years of experience in startup incubation, green technologies, deployment, and digital transformation. Aleš is the lead partner of the Circular 4.0 project, whose objective is to intensify digitalization in SMEs in order to accelerate the transition to circular economy. And last but not least, Michael Roth, who's part of our program committee. He works at the Federal Ministry for Agriculture region and Tourism in Austria. Michael is the national, as I said, is the national coordinator for both the Interreg Alpine Space program and the USALP, the European Union micro-regional strategy for the Alpine region. Michael is a spatial planner himself. He has been working quite intensively with our program in different roles since 2003. As I said initially, this session will focus on project achievements from these 2 specific projects, ALPGRIDS and Circular 4.0. In this regard, I would ask a first question to our project representatives on the preliminary results achieved by this project. So I would start off with Etienne. Could you tell us a little bit more about the ALPGRIDS project, its main goals, and how the preliminary results are being applied on the ground by the end users? It's worth saying that these 2 projects started activities almost already 2 years ago in October 2009. Etienne, tell us a little bit more about this these preliminary results that you achieved?
Okay. Thank you, Nuno. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, ALPGRIDS, as you say, the main objective of ALPGRIDS is to increase the uptake of renewable energy sources in the Alps through microgrid solution. Just in short, microgrid. What is microgrid? Microgrid is a small-scale energy system that can operate autonomously, means islanded from the main grid or connected to the main grid, and it groups several renewable energy sources, producers and consumers on a specific territory. Just to highlight two benefits of the microgrids, the key benefits for local communities is to increase their energy autonomy by facilitating local energy transaction. And that's what we need to really involve the citizen in the energy transition. We facilitate so this energy transaction. Local energy consumer can purchase electricity from the local renewable energy source producer directly or indirectly at an acceptable price, and the price is very important. And also is to improve the resilience of electricity networks in the case of emergency and power cuts. What we do in the project is that really we have some pilot action, and we experience on the field this microgrid solution through various pilots in the Alps. And from this action are now implemented on various territories. And we can find that the collective approach of microgrid is really interesting to create some local dynamics through energy communities and other approaches.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Etienne. I would ask the same questions to Aleš. Could you tell us a little bit more about Circular 4.0 and how the results of this project are being applied on the ground? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nuno. It's a really pleasure that we can explain some kind of Circular 4.0 project in this conference. Thank you again that you're inviting us. About the results in Circular 4.0, at Circular 4.0, we are our main idea is that we build the bridges between circular economy, digital transformation, and Industry 4.0. It's really nice idea, and our main goal is that we, through the strength of digitalization, we increase the circular economy in the SMEs in the other activities. So in whole Alpine space. So as we talk about the results, we have three main focus at the achievement of the results. The first one, of course, are the SMEs. These are our main goal, and we will support through this Circular 4.0 more than 280 SMEs with the pilot action. We will bring them through some kind of education and bring them through the training kits with training and tools for how they can achieve more about circular transformation and digital transformation as well. The second most important thing is, of course, what the intermediate organizations, service providers, and research institutions could achieve from this project. They will increase their knowledge, and they have developed tools for the helping SMEs on their way to digitalization and foster eco-innovation, and of course to achieve some sustainable business models and sustainable growth for the whole Alpine space. And the last but not least, like you say, we have policymakers and other stakeholders which will get a new eco-innovation model through digitalization, and they could achieve Alpine space much more cleaner, more resource efficient and sustainability. But maybe I can just give you some end user experience today. I will start with some company, Elvas from Slovenia. They are a company who produce some plastics components, plastic in materials and some other parts, and they are going through the training process and other one-to-one assistant with the expert. Of course, they realize that they have some nice opportunity to change their processes and their products, and they realize that they can use and reuse their material much more times, and they could have some other application from these materials. So this was the one of the idea, and they are knowing that they can use this material 7 more times, and they say, wow, it's very nice, and they make also some savings behind it. And the main results was that they are talking with their customers during the implementation of this pilot action, and they ask the customer, hey, we are working on the circularity of our production. What do you think? Maybe you could also do something about that. Maybe we could find some new project or use material in some kind of new way. And then the customer also say, okay, let's try to think about it. And they find some new ideas. So the impact of this Circular 4.0 project was on the whole value chain. This is the most important thing. It's not just on the SME, but on the whole value chain, because all stakeholders on the company are trying to participate and get some results from this project. And of course, there is also one important idea behind. When you start the digital transformation in your company, then is the step to the circular transformation is your company is just one step, because it's like that you renovate your house. When you start renovating, it's just a small step that you are start thinking what if you can use some kind of natural color, or if you can use reuse the furniture, or so on. And is the same is for companies, and they are just one step. And this is the most important thing what we should understand, that when we start the digital transformation, and many companies in these days are working on, they should just think about the circular transformation as well. And the main results for the Elvas was that they achieve about 400,000 euros of saving of these materials. And of course, when we have some saving, you can invest them in some new technologies or some new perspective. So this is also very important. So not just digital transformation, but also circular transformation, because you have some new possibility also for develop digital and circular business models who of course increase the return of investment as well. So indeed. Yeah, okay. So indeed, this will be for beginning.
Indeed, Aleš, very valuable input from your side. Actually, from both of you. In this regard, I would like to also ask Michael, as a member of our program committee, these two interventions remind us how important it is to deliver result-oriented approaches in cooperation, in transnational cooperation. From your perspective, how important it is to deliver result-oriented approaches, or if I may put it the other way around, how the policy context is relevant to deliver result-oriented approaches like those that we are learning here today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me here today. And well, all I can say is that, of course, it is always our main objective to give birth to concrete solutions that really shape, let's say, solutions to the challenges that we have. And those challenges let's say, in our administrative thinking, are defined by, let's say, policies from the public sector. So we have heard a lot about today already about the climate goals, and also let's say, regionalized integrated bundle of objectives, political objectives that we find in the macro-regional strategy for the Alpine region. So actually, this is the context in which we are working. And since strategies alone do not serve any purpose usually, they need to be implemented. And that is where we see the place for the program, and where we see, let's say, also the place for the projects, the particular projects that are supposed to contribute to implementing these strategies and these strategic goals. And let me say that I'm very, very grateful that we heard two very valuable experiences today that we're trying really to, and managing to actually to pick up on particular challenges that have been defined within our program strategy and that are relevant for overall, let's say, political objectives in the Alpine space, not only in the Alpine space as such, but also considering the Alpine space as a smaller part of the bigger puzzle in the global context, and also the European policies. So, and we are talking here, this session is about the priority 2, which aims at carbon neutral and resource sensitive Alpine region. And I think we have picked some very good examples here today, and which are present. So really to foster the transition towards a more circular and resource efficient economy, which is one sub goal of this priority. And the other one also represented here by Etienne, promoting energy efficiency and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So this is, let's say, these are the two main headlines, I would say, under the priority of carbon neutral and resource sensitive Alpine region.
Thank you, Michael, for your intervention. Indeed, you made reference to key challenges that the program will continue address in the next programming period. In this regard, or if you will, this brings me to the next question to our project representatives. And here I would start by asking Aleš, what kind of challenges you think that needs to be considered in the future, with relation, in this case, to circular economy, which is a key point in your project?
Yeah, of course. One of the biggest challenges is that we all understand that we are all responsible for the circularity of the Alpine space. Of course, we have some kind of lucky that Alpine space is already green, but you know that if we all understand that what is important of the circularity, and that we all understand that we could connect the circularity and digital transformation, this is the one of the main challenge which we have. And another challenge which we have is that some companies don't understand quite well how and what is important. They go to the circular economy. And in the other case, of course, we have some kind of also publicity and marketability challenge about that, because of course we are talking about the Green Deal in these years many times. When we start with the Circular 4.0 project in 2018, it was really hard to hear some words about circularity and the Green Deal about. But now everybody talking think about this. So I think this is most important, that we are making some kind of, I don't know how to say, some kind of community of the circular economy in the Alpine space. One of our partners, Institute of Josef Stefan, is already made some nice suggestion on this area, and they try to say, and they expose the idea of that in EU-SALP region could we develop a circular working group. So this is a very nice idea which we could talk about it a little bit further. So maybe is just a suggestion for the end of my discussion, is that without the circular economy and without that we are all understand this position, there will be no Green Deal in the Europe.
Thank you, Aleš, very much for your intervention. And what about you, Etienne? What do you think that what are the key challenges to be addressed in the future in relation to energy efficiency?
I think there are plenty of key challenges regarding the energy transition, because it's a really big challenge. I think that one of the main challenge regarding energy transition is the involvement of citizens in the energy transition. Why it is important? Because energy transition is not only for big companies, it's not only for big producers, but it's also, I would say, a day-to-day way of life and the way of being involved in this change. And through the energy communities, it's really interesting to have the possibilities of citizens being involved through financial matters, but not only. And that's what it is really interesting in microgrids, in where we work on what we work in ALPGRIDS, is that microgrids are very well integrated with energy communities. Why they are very well integrated? Because the role of citizen is important, because we use the flexibility of the consumer and devices such as storage that are property of the consumer. Mm-hmm. So that's not only the financial topic, the way of investing, but it's being active in a way, because you change the way you produce and you consume the energy, meaning that you try to consume where there is the energy production. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really interesting, because more and more citizens become more aware of these technical things, because microgrid is also technical. But little by little, we can really disseminate these ideas and really involving the citizens. And energy community are usually done for producing energy, but it can be also used for energy, to save energy and to be more energy efficient. And I think that's very important, all this movement of citizens being integrated.
Indeed, I couldn't agree more. Besides, your statement is very much in line to what Professor Bogataj mentioned during her intervention about the importance of education. Michael, before we open the floor to a couple of questions from Slido, I would just like to ask you a final question to you as member of our program committee. Do you think that these challenges on citizen involvement, on community building, can be easily accommodated in the next program? How these challenges mentioned by the two project representatives could be addressed in our 21-27 program?
Well, actually, it is the perfect place to address these approaches. I mean, what should the projects deliver in the end? It's always some kind of, let's say, capacity building, a change of lifestyle habits, maybe. But then even much more important, the development of jointly developed solutions over the Alpine space, or at least over several countries of the Alpine space, several regions of the Alpine space, and also experimenting with pilot actions. So you can not only, let's say, develop the proposal for a solution of a challenge, of a particular one, but you can also include some pilot actions. And that can, of course, also include elements of citizen involvement and whatsoever. I think this is all most welcome as long as it is innovative and in compliance with the objectives of the priorities of the program. you have to imagine that I guess many of you are here because it's an interesting program by the content, but in the end, the budget of the program is something about 120, 130, I don't know exactly, million euros. This is not enough to change everything we need to change. So if we just stay within the logic of the European funds, then this is a place where we experiment. This is the place where we find new solutions, where we experiment with them, where in a European sense, so crossing the borders and including, let's say, a broader region. And then the hope is always that these solutions, or let's say not only the hope, but actually it happens. And it is our intention that then these solutions that prove to be innovative enough and that prove to be effective, they will be mainstreamed, and they then can be also funded by, let's say, the regional programs without involving, let's say, a more international community, but really roll it out, because those other programs are the programs where the real money is. So basically, yes, please go ahead. We are longing for innovative solutions. And maybe I can just give a very short, let's say, sneak about the contents of this priority, because I was reading a little bit the chat. So the question about mobility, we understand the mobility question now in a broader sense. It's not disappeared. It is here, amongst others, in this priority when it comes to finding climate-friendly and energy-effective solutions to mobility questions. So this is actually an integrated approach that we cannot just treat as a pure mobility question sometimes, but we really need to integrate it with the demands and challenges of climate change. Also, circular economy. I mean, to give a good example, is the building industry. So, how many resources, and even gray resources that sometimes we don't really consider, is going into a building. And we really want to strengthen the approach to consider the energy consumption and the let's say, damage building does to nature from cradle to cradle. So really from starting with an effective planning to effectively building with resources that come from the region, that don't have to travel far, that are environmentally friendly. And we even think then in a further step in the same integrated circle about what will happen when we don't need the building anymore. Can we reuse it? That's the highest priority before we demolish it, and so on. So, and also on energy, maybe I think what Professor Bogota said earlier was, of course, that's, I think a very high priority, energy efficiency. The best energy is the energy we don't have to consume and we don't have to produce. So this is really helping most to the challenges of climate change. So just to give a little bit of ideas what is in this box of priority 2, which we don't really consider a box, but just to frame a little bit for a particular audience that deals with these questions of carbon neutrality and resource sensitivity.
Indeed, Michael, I think you synthesized quite well our priorities to reach carbon neutrality in the next programming period. Before I close the session, Elisa, do you think that we can take one question from the audience, in case there's one? I hope there's one, at least from our audience.
There are actually some of them have been addressed just now by Michael when he was actually summarizing up a bit of things. One thing that maybe, I don't know if he wants to go a little bit deeper, since he was talking now about the transport sector, is someone is asking if also the topic of hydrogen and green hydrogen will be taken into account in the new programming period.
Well, yes, certainly. That's also what is written in the program text. So I encourage you all to have a closer look on the program text of the priorities. There you will find a lot of answers to questions that we don't have the time to pose today and to answer today. So yes, alternative ways and concepts of mobility with non-fossil fuels. I think this is the main message. are really subject also to projects within, in particular within this priority. And since we have talked earlier a little bit, I have been talking about strategies. So also think about maybe, you know, how to support strategies with your projects. I mean, this is also the way we were talking about the building and construction industry. For instance, ideas concerning the new European Bauhaus initiative that have a particular relevance for the Alpine, let's say, features. This could be the priority to deal with it. Yeah, and it was mentioned the hydrogen transport solutions, but also very important social issues related to climate adaptation, like energy poverty. So please have a look at the text of the program strategy. I really encourage you to do so. And I think a lot of the questions you might still have will be answered there. Thank you.
Indeed, Michael, indeed. I think you anticipated a few things I would like to say. So I would like I appreciate very much your presence. I thank you all for being here with us. And I would just like to wrap up the session by recalling that energy efficiency alone will most likely not be sufficient to manage the transition to a post-carbon society. We have to go beyond efficiency and foster integrated concepts of well-being and post-carbon lifestyles, which was also stressed by by Professor Bogotai. I think that this will certainly put us on the right track to be at the forefront of the transition to carbon neutrality and climate resilience in the Alpine region. Thank you all for your presence, and I hand over the floor to my colleague Jana, who will continue with the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuno. Thank you very much for this.